At my annual physical, Dr. Patterson's face went completely white as she reviewed my file. She closed the laptop slowly, removed her glasses, and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen from her in 15 years. "David," she said carefully, "I need to ask you something important. Your wife, Marina, when did she say her surgery is scheduled?" I felt my stomach tighten. "Next month." "Why? Is something wrong with the referral?" Patterson pulled up something on her screen, then turned it toward me. "David, these are Marina's medical records from Vancouver General. She had a bilateral tubal ligation performed 8 years ago. It's permanent. She cannot conceive children. There is no reversal scheduled because she never requested one." The room started spinning. "That's impossible." She told me she's been seeing a fertility specialist. She showed me appointment cards, ultrasounds from the consultations. "David," Patterson's voice was gentle but firm. "The procedure code is right here. Wu Ba Lo Tzi Lin. Performed in 2017. Whatever she's been showing you, it isn't from a fertility clinic." I sat there in that sterile examination room, staring at the medical codes on the screen, and felt my entire world crack open. Just 3 weeks ago, Marina had come to me in tears, holding fertility clinic pamphlets, explaining that the specialist had found a way to reverse her previous procedure. She needed $180,000 for the surgery in Switzerland. Experimental. Not covered by insurance. Our only chance to have the family we'd dreamed of. I'd already transferred $90,000 as a deposit. "Patterson," I said slowly, "can you print this? All of it? I need documentation." She nodded, understanding immediately that something was very wrong. While the printer hummed, she pulled up additional records. "David, I'm also seeing that she's been to 3 different pharmacies in the past 6 months. Different prescriptions under slightly different names. Marina Silva, Marina Santos, Ferreira. Is that normal?" "No," I whispered. "That's not normal at all." She handed me the stack of papers. "I'm worried about you. If you need help, if you're in any kind of danger, I don't know yet," I admitted. "But I'm going to find out." The drive home from Dr. Patterson's office took forever. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I'm 61 years old. I thought I was done with heartbreak after losing my wife Catherine to cancer 5 years ago. My daughters, Emma and Sophie, they're grown now, living their own lives in Toronto and Montreal. I'd made peace with being alone. Then I met Marina at a charity fundraiser for the new children's hospital wing I'd designed. She was radiant, passionate about helping children, or so she said. At 36, she made me feel alive again. Young, foolish, apparently. I remember that first conversation so clearly now. She'd approached me by the architectural model of the hospital wing, studying it with genuine interest, or what I'd thought was genuine interest. "You designed this?" she'd asked, her accent lending music to the words. "I did. 20 years of pediatric architecture experience went into that design. It's beautiful. The way the light will come through here." She'd pointed to the atrium. "The children will feel hope when they see this." That's what hooked me. Not her beauty, though she was stunning. It was the way she seemed to understand what I was trying to accomplish. The way she saw the heart of my work. We'd talked for 2 hours that night. She told me about growing up in Brazil, about losing her father young, about coming to Canada to start over, about wanting a family someday but not having found the right person yet. I'd fallen for every word. When I walked through the door of our Shaughnessy home, Marina was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She looked up with that brilliant smile that had first captured me. "Darling, how was your checkup, doctor? Patterson give you a clean bill of health?" I set my keys down carefully. She showed me something interesting. Medical records. From Vancouver General. The knife stopped moving, just for a second. Then she resumed chopping. "I don't know what you're talking about. Bilateral tubal ligation. Procedure code 58670. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Distant. Clinical. "You can't have children, Marina. You've never been able to. Not for the last 8 years. The knife clattered into the sink. When she turned, her face had transformed into something I didn't recognize. Calculating. The warmth I'd fallen in love with had evaporated like it had never existed. "So you know," she said flatly. "Yes, I had the procedure. But the Swiss clinic can reverse it." I wasn't lying about that part. "Then why didn't this show up in your records?" "Because I paid cash for the consultations. Because I wanted to surprise you when it worked. Her voice rose, but there was something off about the emotion. Performed. Rehearsed. How dare you go snooping into my private medical history? I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank transfer confirmation. 90,000, Marina. I need to see real documentation. The clinic's name. The surgeon's credentials. Something. She stared at the phone, and I watched her cycle through several expressions, searching for the right response. Finally, she landed on righteous anger. You're checking up on me like I'm some criminal? After everything I've given up to be with you? I left my career in Brazil. My family. Your family, I repeated slowly. Something clicked. The ones you visit every month in the Cayman Islands? My mother lives there now. She's sick. Your mother lives in Sao Paulo. You told me that when we met. You showed me photos of her apartment building. Marina's eyes narrowed. She moved. To the Cayman Islands, one of the world's biggest offshore banking havens. How convenient. She grabbed her purse. I don't have to stand here and be interrogated like this. I'm going to my sister's. Which sister? The one in Vancouver or the one in Calgary? Because you've told me both stories. She stopped at the door. When she turned back, the mask had completely slipped. The woman standing there was a stranger. You're a lonely old man who was pathetically grateful that someone young and beautiful paid attention to him. Don't ruin this. David, don't make me the villain when I've been nothing but devoted. She left. The door clicked shut with a soft finality that felt like the closing of a coffin lid. I stood there for a long time, staring at nothing. Then I walked through our house with new eyes. The house I'd bought after Catherine died. The house Marina had moved into just 8 months ago, bringing almost nothing with her. I want to start fresh with you, she'd said. No baggage from the past. I'd thought it was romantic. Now I wondered what she'd been hiding. I started in her closet. Designer clothes, all relatively new. Tags still on some items. Expensive tastes for someone who claimed to be between jobs. I'd been paying for everything since we met, and I'd been happy to do it. She was my wife. That's what you do. In the back of the closet, behind a stack of shoeboxes, I found a locked metal case. Small, fireproof, the kind people use for important documents. I'd never seen it before. I'm not proud of what I did next. I went to my workshop and got my tools. It took me 20 minutes to crack the lock. Inside were 3 passports, all with Marina's photo. Different names. Marina Silva, Marina Santos, Marina Ferreira. Birth, dates that varied by 3 to 5 years. There was also a burner phone. When I turned it on, it had one contact saved. The text thread made my blood run cold. He signed the policy, just like we planned. Timeline? Cruise is booked. 3 weeks. Private balcony. Perfect. After that, we disappear for a year. Let it cool down. Then we find the next one. This is the last one. P. I mean it this time. After this, we have enough. You said that about James. And Richard before him. My vision blurred. I had to sit down on the closet floor, the phone still in my hand. James. Richard. Names I'd never heard Marina mention. I took photos of everything with my phone. The passports, the text messages. Then I put it all back, exactly as I'd found it, and relocked the case as best I could. Then I did what I should have done before I proposed. I started digging. My daughter Emma works in forensic accounting in Toronto. When I called her that night, there was a long pause after I explained the situation. Dad, she said quietly, Sophie and I tried to tell you. Remember at Christmas? We said something felt off about her. I know. I didn't want to hear it. I remembered that conversation now with painful clarity. Emma had pulled me aside while Marina was in the powder room. Dad, she asked me about your estate plan, about the architecture firm, about what happens to everything if. She didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. I'd been furious with Emma for suggesting Marina was a gold digger. I'd accused my own daughter of being jealous, of not wanting me to be happy. The hurt in Emma's eyes had haunted me for weeks. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, I said now. You were right. You were both right. Okay, don't beat yourself up now. We need to move fast. Wire me everything you have. Bank statements, her passport information, anything. I have a colleague who specializes in fraud cases. His name is Marcus Chen, ironic, I know, given one of Marina's aliases. He's the best. Emma, there's something else. I found text messages. She's working with someone. They're planning something on a cruise. In 3 weeks. The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought we'd been disconnected. "Dad, send me those photos right now. All of them. I'm calling Marcus immediately. And Dad, don't go anywhere alone with her. Don't eat or drink anything she gives you. Lock your bedroom door at night. I'm serious. You think I don't know what she'd do. That's why you need to be careful. Promise me." "I promise." 3 days later, Emma called me back. Her voice was shaking. "Dad, you need to sit down." "Are you sitting? Just tell me." Marina Silva isn't her real name. It's Marina Santos Ferreira. She was married twice before. Both husbands died in accidents. Both had substantial life insurance policies that she collected on. The floor seemed to drop away beneath me. "What kind of accidents?" "The first was a boating accident off the coast of Florida. Husband number 1, Richard Pemberton, fell overboard during a sunset cruise. Massive head trauma from the propeller. The investigation concluded it was accidental. He was 57. They'd been married 11 months. She collected $500,000. Jesus Christ. And the second? Husband number 2, James Chen, Vancouver resident, successful real estate developer. Died in a hiking accident on the Grouse Grind 2 years ago. Fell from a viewing platform. Multiple witnesses said she was distraught, tried to grab him, couldn't reach him in time. He was 63. They'd been married 13 months. She collected $750,000 from his policy. My mouth was dry, and both times she got away with it. Both times it was ruled accidental death. But Dad, Marcus found something else. There were 2 other men before Richard. One in Miami, one in Houston. Both died in suspicious circumstances. Both left her money. The Miami case is cold. The man died in a house fire. The Houston case is still technically open. He died from a fall down the stairs, but there were some inconsistencies in Marina's statement. Not enough to charge her, but enough to make the detective suspicious. So there could be 4 victims. 4 men who died because of her. Dad, there's more. Both Richard and James married her within months of meeting her. Both took out large life insurance policies shortly after the wedding, at her suggestion. Both died within 14 months of marriage. And Dad. Emma's voice broke. You took out a $2 million policy 3 months ago. Marina is listed as the sole beneficiary. You've been married for 8 months. I'd forgotten about that. Marina had suggested it one night over wine, presenting it as practical planning. For our future family, she'd said. So they're taken care of if anything happens to you. She'd even filled out most of the paperwork for me, making it easy. I just had to sign. I'd been so touched by her thinking of our hypothetical children. Now I understood she'd been thinking of something else entirely. There's one more thing, Emma continued. She booked a cruise. Anniversary trip. The Azure Princess. Leaving from Vancouver next week. 10-day luxury cruise to Alaska. Paid for your ticket and hers. First-class cabin with a private balcony. The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. A private balcony. The wild, cold waters of the Alaska Passage. And tragic accident. A grieving widow. $2 million. We need to call the police, I said. Already done. I contacted the RCMP fraud division yesterday. They're very interested. Marcus has connections there from previous cases. Dad, they want you to wear a wire. They want you to go on that cruise. My hands were shaking again. She's planning to kill me, but now we're planning to stop her. The next 5 days were surreal. Marina came home full of apologies, explaining she'd overreacted, that the stress of the fertility treatments had made her emotional. She was affectionate again, attentive, the woman I'd thought I married. Except now I could see the calculation behind every touch, every smile. She was keeping me calm until we were on that ship. She even cooked my favorite meals. Beef Wellington, coq au vin, dishes Catherine used to make. Marina had never made them before. Now she was pulling out all the stops, ensuring I was comfortable, unsuspecting, ready to board that ship without hesitation. I'm so excited for our trip, she said one evening, snuggling against me on the couch. Just you and me, the ocean, no distractions. We can really reconnect. It'll be wonderful, I agreed, and felt sick saying it. The RCMP outfitted me with a recording device so small I couldn't even feel it. Detective Sarah Morrison briefed me in a coffee shop downtown, sitting across from me like we were old friends catching up. We need her to incriminate herself, Morrison explained quietly. We need her to either confess or make a clear move. The recordings from the phone you found are helpful, but they don't prove murder. They could be interpreted as dark jokes between partners. We need something concrete. Can you do this, Mr. Thompson? Because if you can't, we'll pull you out right now. No judgment. I thought about Richard Pemberton and James Chen, about their families, about the man in Miami who'd burned to death, about the man in Houston who'd fallen down the stairs, about how many others there might have been that Emma's colleague hadn't found yet. I can do it. Morrison nodded. We'll have 4 agents on that ship. They'll be dressed as passengers, staying close but not close enough to spook her. If she makes a move, we'll be there within seconds. But David, you need to understand, there's still risk. These waters are dangerous. If something goes wrong, I understand. We also have an agent planted as crew. He'll be monitoring your cabin. If you need immediate extraction, there's a code phrase. I think I left my reading glasses in the dining room. Say that to any crew member, and we'll get you out. The Azure Princess was magnificent. Gleaming white, 9 stories of luxury cutting through the gray-blue waters of the inside passage. Our cabin was on deck 8, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a private balcony overlooking the ocean. Marina was effusive, taking selfies of us, posting them on social media with hearts and anniversary messages, playing the devoted wife for the audience she'd need when I was gone. Look at this view, she exclaimed, stepping onto the balcony. We're going to have the most amazing week. I watched her lean against the railing, testing it, gauging the height. She was planning. Even now, she was planning. The first 3 days were tense but uneventful. Marina was patient, waiting for the right moment. The RCMP had agents posing as passengers, keeping watch, but they had to stay back far enough that she wouldn't spot them. I'd catch glimpses of them, a woman reading a book by the pool, a couple having drinks at the bar, a man jogging on the upper deck. Knowing they were there kept me sane. Marina suggested we have romantic dinners on our balcony instead of the dining room. More private, she said. More intimate. I agreed, but I made sure to eat only from serving dishes we both shared, to pour my wine from the same bottle she drank from. She noticed my caution on the second night. You're not drinking much, she observed. Trying to stay healthy. Don't want to overdo it on vacation. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You should relax, darling. Enjoy yourself. This trip is about letting go. On the 4th night, we hit rough weather. The captain announced that passengers should stay inside, that the outer decks were closed due to dangerous swells. Marina looked at me over dinner with an expression I couldn't read. Want to go see the storm? She asked. From our balcony? It's supposed to be incredible. The captain said to stay inside. Oh, come on. Where's your sense of adventure? Just for a minute. I want to take a photo. This might be the only real storm we get. It'll be something to remember. Something to remember. The irony would have been funny if I wasn't terrified. All right. I agreed. Just for a minute. I touched my chest briefly, making sure the recording device was active. Detective Morrison and her team were listening to everything. Back in our cabin, she opened the balcony door. The wind howled in, cold and fierce. The ocean below was a churning mass of black water and white foam. The ship pitched and rolled. I grabbed the door frame to steady myself. Come here, Marina called over the wind. You have to see this. I stepped onto the balcony. The recording device was active. The ship lurched, and I grabbed the nearest railing. The drop to the ocean was at least 80 feet. The water looked angry, violent. No one could survive a fall into that. Marina was at the railing, her hair whipping around her face. She looked wild, beautiful, deadly. It's magnificent, she shouted. Come closer. I stayed near the door. Marina, we should go inside. This isn't safe. Don't be boring, David. Come here, please. For me? Her voice had taken on a pleading quality, the same tone she'd used when she asked for the $90,000, when she'd asked me to change my will, when she'd asked me to take out the life insurance policy. I took one step forward, then another. She smiled. That's it. Just a little more. I want to get a photo of both of us with the storm in the background. It'll be stunning. I was 3 feet from the railing now, close enough to see the precise moment when her expression changed, when the loving wife disappeared and the killer emerged. You know what's funny? She said, her voice cutting through the wind. Old men are so easy. You were the easiest one yet. So desperate to feel young again. So grateful. Richard at least made me work for it. He was suspicious of everything. Wanted proof of everything. And James, he was suspicious at the end, I had to improvise with him. Made it look like he lost his balance taking a selfie. But you? She laughed, and the sound was carried away by the wind. You practically threw money at me. Signed whatever I put in front of you. Believed every lie. The perfect mark. Marina, what are you saying? Oh, stop it. You figured it out, didn't you? That's why you've been so weird this week. But you got on the boat anyway, you stupid man. Did you really think I didn't notice? Did you think I couldn't see you calculating, watching me? She moved closer, and I saw something in her hand. A small syringe, the needle glinting in the dim light from the cabin. This is Rohypnol, she said conversationally, like she was describing the wine selection at dinner. Enough to make you dizzy, disoriented. You're going to lean too far over the railing, trying to get a better look at the storm. An old man who'd had too much wine at dinner, ignoring the captain's warnings. Tragic. Preventably. By the time they find your body, if they find it, it won't matter. The insurance company will pay out. They always do. Accidental death is very profitable, David. You killed them, I said. Richard and James. You murdered them. I freed myself from them, she corrected. They served their purpose. Just like you're about to. Although I have to admit, $2 million is my best score yet. Paulo and I will be very comfortable for a long time. Maybe we'll finally retire. Bye, Avija, in Portugal. Live quietly, Paulo. The brother who's not really your brother. She laughed again. You did figure it out. Too late, but still. Yes, Paulo is my partner. In every sense. Has been for 15 years. We met in Rio, both running cons. Decided we were better together. The marriage con was his idea initially. I've refined it over the years. She lunged forward with the syringe. I stumbled backward. The ship rolled hard to port, and Marina lost her balance. She grabbed for the railing, overcorrected, and I saw the exact moment when she realized she'd miscalculated. The syringe fell from her hand and skittered across the wet deck. Marina's eyes went wide with panic as she tipped backward, her fingers scrabbling for purchase on the slick railing. I grabbed her wrist, held on. For a split second, we were frozen there, her weight pulling her toward the churning ocean below. My hand locked around her wrist, the only thing between her and death. She stared up at me, and for the first time since I'd met her, I saw real fear in her eyes. Not the performed fear she'd shown when she discovered her fake pregnancy complications. Real, primal terror. Help me, she screamed. David, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. Please don't let me fall. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to open my hand and let justice be served by the ocean. Let her experience the terror that Richard and James and the others had felt in their final moments. But I'm not a killer. The cabin door burst open. Detective Morrison and 2 other officers rushed onto the balcony. They hauled Marina back over the railing, snapped handcuffs on her wrists while she sobbed and cursed. Marina Santos Ferreira, Morrison said over the wind, rain streaming down her face. You're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, and we'll be investigating you for 2 counts of first-degree murder in British Columbia and additional counts in Florida, Texas, and Texas. Marina stopped crying instantly. She looked at me with pure hatred, her mascara running in black streams down her face. You were recording this whole time, you fucking bastard. Every word, I confirmed. She spat at me. The officers dragged her inside, and I heard her screaming as they took her away. Screaming about how I'd ruined everything, how I was supposed to die, how it wasn't fair. Detective Morrison stayed behind, steadying me as the ship pitched in the storm. You did good, Mr. Thompson. Really good. That confession was crystal clear. She's done. There were others, I said. Before Richard, she mentioned them. We'll find them all, Morrison promised. She's going to spend the rest of her life in prison. You helped us stop her before she could do this to anyone else. The investigation that followed uncovered even more than we'd suspected. Marina had been running this scheme for 12 years, not 8. There were 2 other husbands before Richard and James, the man in Miami, Robert Delacroix, who died in the house fire, and the man in Houston, Thomas Whitmore, who'd fallen down the stairs. Both had died within a year of marrying her. Both had life insurance policies. Marina had collected over $1, $8 million in total before she came for me. Her brother, Paulo, was actually Paulo Martinez, her romantic partner and criminal accomplice. He'd helped her identify marks, forge documents, planned the murders. He'd been the one to research me, to find out about Catherine's death, to identify me as a widower with substantial assets and no romantic prospects. They'd targeted me deliberately. The Swiss fertility clinic didn't exist. The medical documents she'd shown me were Photoshop jobs, created by Paulo, who apparently had a talent for forgery. The appointment cards were printed at a local copy shop. The ultrasound images were downloaded from the internet. Every single piece of evidence she'd shown me had been fabricated. Paulo was arrested 3 days after Marina, trying to board a flight to Brazil with $200,000 in cash. In his apartment, police found detailed files on dozens of potential victims, wealthy older men, recently widowed or divorced, with substantial assets. Marina and Paulo had been preparing their next targets. I was just one name on a very long list. The $90,000 I'd transferred was recovered from a Cayman Islands account, along with most of the money from her previous schemes. Turned out Marina wasn't very good at hiding money, just at acquiring it. She and Paulo were extradited to Florida to face charges in Richard's death first. The trial there took 8 months. I testified via video link, describing how she'd nearly killed me, how she'd confessed to the pattern of murders. The Florida jury convicted her in less than 3 hours. She got life without parole. Paulo took a plea deal, agreeing to testify against Marina and the other cases in exchange for 20 years. He told prosecutors everything: how they chose victims, how Marina seduced them, how they planned the murders to look like accidents. He was chillingly matter-of-fact about it, describing murders like they were business transactions. After Florida, Marina was brought back to British Columbia to face charges in James Chen's death. James's family attended every day of the trial. His daughter, Amy, gave a victim impact statement that had the entire courtroom in tears. She described how her father had been so happy with Marina, how he'd thought he'd found love again after losing Amy's mother, how Marina had stolen not just his life, but his final chance at happiness. Marina showed no remorse. Even when the jury convicted her again in just a few hours, she sat stone-faced, staring straight ahead. The judge gave her another life sentence, to be served consecutively with the Florida sentence. She'll die in prison. She's 39 years old now. She'll never breathe free air again. My daughters, Emma and Sophie, moved back to Vancouver for a few months to help me through the aftermath. They never once said "I told you so," even though they'd seen through Marina from the beginning. "We just wanted you to be happy, Dad," Emma said one night over dinner. "We wanted you to find love again. We just wanted it to be real." Sophie, my younger daughter, added quietly, "We saw how lonely you were after Mom died. We wanted you to have someone. We just wished you'd listened when we said something felt wrong." "I should have listened," I admitted. "I was so desperate not to be alone that I ignored every red flag. The age difference, the speed of our relationship, the way she isolated me from you both, the financial requests, all of it. Loneliness makes us vulnerable," Emma said. "That's not your fault. Marina and Paulo are professionals. They're predators. They knew exactly what they were doing. I sold the Shaughnessy house. Too many memories of Marina moving through those rooms, playing her part. Too many nights lying awake, wondering which moment had been real and which had been performance. I bought a smaller place in Kitsilano, near the water, with big windows and clean lines. A fresh start. I started therapy twice a week to process the betrayal, the manipulation, the fact that I'd been hours away from death. My therapist, Dr. Rebecca Shea, specialized in trauma. She helped me understand that what Marina did wasn't just criminal, it was psychological abuse. Gaslighting, love bombing, isolation, all textbook tactics of con artists and abusers. "You're not weak for falling for it, doctor." As he told me, "You're human. You wanted connection. That's normal. That's healthy." She exploited that basic human need. That's on her, not you. Patterson, my physician, checked in on me regularly. She felt guilty for not catching Marina's deception earlier, though I assured her it wasn't her responsibility to run background checks on my dates. "You saved my life," I told her at one appointment, 6 months after the arrest. "If you hadn't shown me those records, I'd be at the bottom of the ocean. My daughters would be mourning me, and Marina would be looking for victim number 6. "You saved your own life," she corrected. "You could have ignored the evidence. A lot of people they'd have wanted to believe the lie. You chose to face the truth. Even though it hurt. I'm 62 now. A year has passed since that night on the Azure Princess. I still design buildings, still meet my daughters for dinner, still live my life, but I'm more careful now, more aware of red flags, more willing to listen when people who love me express concern. I also started volunteering with a fraud prevention organization called Silver Shield, talking to other older adults about romance scams, sharing my story, warning them about the tactics, the manipulation, the way predators identify and exploit loneliness. At my first speaking engagement, I stood in front of 40 seniors at a community center and told them everything. About Marina, about the fake pregnancy, about the murder plot, about how close I came to dying. When I finished, a woman in the front row raised her hand. She was probably 70, well-dressed, with kind eyes. "How do you trust again?" she asked. After something like that, how do you open your heart to anyone? I thought about it for a long moment. Honestly, I don't know yet. But I'm trying to learn that real love doesn't ask you to ignore your instincts. Real love doesn't require six-figure wire transfers and suspicious medical procedures. Real love doesn't come with a body count. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping. And the woman in the front row had tears in her eyes. After the presentation, 5 people came up to me privately. Each one had a similar story, someone they'd met online who'd asked for money, someone who'd isolated them from family, someone who'd moved too fast and raised red flags they'd ignored. I exchanged numbers with all of them, promising to be available if they needed to talk to someone who understood. Because Marina was right about one thing. I was lonely. I was an easy mark because I wanted so badly to believe that someone could love me again, that I deserved a second chance at happiness after losing Catherine. But I learned that it's better to be alone than to be with someone who's planning your murder. And I learned that my daughters, my real family, the people who actually love me, they were there all along. I just had to stop looking for love in the wrong places long enough to see them. Emma visits every month now, bringing her husband and their 2 kids. Sophie moved back to Vancouver permanently, taking a job at UBC. We have dinner every Sunday. We talk about everything: work, life, their mother, how much we miss her. "Mom would be so proud of you," Sophie said one Sunday, over Thai food at our favorite restaurant. "For surviving, for speaking out, for helping other people. She would have seen through Marina in 5 minutes," I said. "Probably," Emma agreed. Mom had great instincts about people. Remember when we were kids, and she wouldn't let us go to that babysitter's house, the one all our friends used? And then it turned out the babysitter was running some kind of credit card scam. I finished. Your mother knew something was off. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, remembering Catherine, her laugh, her warmth, the way she'd loved fiercely and honestly, without games or manipulation. "I think I'm ready," I said suddenly. "Ready for what?" Sophie asked. "To try again. Not relationship-wise. Not yet. But to stop hiding. To stop being afraid of making another mistake." Last month, I went on a date. A woman I met through the architecture firm. A structural engineer named Patricia. She's 58, divorced, has 3 kids of her own. We got coffee at a place near the office. Talked about building codes and load-bearing walls and how her youngest just started university. It was nice. Normal. She didn't ask about my finances. Didn't need anything from me except conversation and maybe, eventually, companionship. When Emma found out, she ran a background check anyway. I didn't even get mad. I thanked her. "Patricia's clean, Dad," Emma reported. "No dead husbands. No offshore accounts. No criminal record. She's exactly who she says she is. Been at the same engineering firm for 20 years. Her kids all speak highly of her. Her ex-husband remarried and they're apparently on good terms. She volunteers at a women's shelter. She's normal, Dad." "That's good," I said. "That's really good." Patricia and I have been on 4 dates now. We're taking things slow. Really slow. She knows what happened with Marina. It was in the news, and she Googled me before our first date, which I actually appreciated. She brought it up on our second date. "I'm not going to ask for details," she'd said, "but I want you to know that I understand if you need to take things slowly. If you need time to trust. If you need to verify things about me. I'm not offended. I think it's smart, actually." That honesty meant everything to me. I'm taking things slow with Patricia. Maybe nothing will come of it. Maybe something will. Either way, I'm not in a hurry anymore, because I'm still here. I survived. And Marina? She's in a cell in the Federal Correctional Institution in Florida, and that's exactly where she belongs. Sometimes at night, I still dream about that balcony, the storm, the moment when I held her wrist and had to choose whether to pull her up or let her fall. In the dreams, I sometimes let go. I watch her fall into the churning water below, and I wake up gasping. But in reality, I always make the same choice. I always pull her up, not because she deserved saving, but because I'm not a killer. I'm not like her. I'm just an old man who made it out alive and learned that loneliness is painful, but it won't kill you. Marina almost did, but almost doesn't count. I'm still standing. I'm still here. And every day I wake up is a day she didn't win.